Hello, space friend. Welcome to the stream. Let me turn on our music. As always, let me know if the mixing needs to be adjusted. Okay, let's get into it. So this is the piece we started the last time we were on stream together. And something that I noticed is that the solar farm is on a mega wonk. It is way tilted. So let's make sure that group is selected. Just get into fixing it. Go to warp. I think maybe we'll start with distort. Yeah, there we go. And now we'll do a warp. Just try to get it into a more symmetrical shape. Before and after. Oh heck yeah, that's much better. Okay, so aside from that editing, the places we were going to start on is we were going to finish my little home planet, Ubun. And I see it does need some adjustments on the shape. It's looking a little flat after our mountain. But once we get these moons and Ubun shaded, we'll finish up the background and move on to the next piece. So let's come in here. Since I have these merged down on one layer to save space, I'm gonna select Ubun. And let's just go to the liquefy tool. I want to make sure I'm not on twirls. I'm on push. We use the twirls for the gas giant to get the cloudiness. But we definitely don't need to pinch right now. I was on eraser. Let's go back in here. I need to lower the size. We're just trying to bring out, yeah, this area right here. And that shape's already looking much better. I notice this edge is a little flat. We're gonna mess with it. Okay, and that's looking better. Again, before and after. Much better. Let's go ahead and get a new layer. We'll do a clipping mask. And let's go ahead and go back to the original layer. And we'll get down the ice side here of the planet. If you guys weren't here for the original painting I did of the close-up of my planet, it is tidally locked. That means one side's always in the sun and one side's always in shadow. So one side is almost completely icy, one side's almost completely desert, and we have a Goldilocks zone in the middle. So we're just gonna change the hue on this side until it's blue, and we're going to darken it and desaturate it. And that's a good start. Now on our clipping layer, let's get our greenish color and paint in our green strip. Now let's turn down that brush size. And just get a rough line down there. And kind of change up the edges. That's not perfect. let's get another clipping mask layer started. I made a brush myself using like really dry ground from earth. I find that it makes a really good ice texture. So we're gonna move to a grayish white and paint it in. That's too big a size for that texture. Let's turn this brush down. So the texture size is the problem with this brush. How we can adjust it is if we go into our brush settings here, go to grain, and lowering this scale, and that'll increase the pattern on a smaller size. But I don't want it too small because I want you to be able to see the texture from afar when we're zoomed out. So I think this is a good texture size. Okay, let's get a new clipping layer. And let's go down to spray paint, flicks. I'm going to work on our ice moon first and its orbiting object. And we'll just change this layer to multiply. We got to turn down that brush size quite a bit. Just get some textures on these objects. And we're going to do the same for the red moon. We're going to select the color. And we're actually going to just choose a darker color because this is an ultra saturated color already. And paint in just some rocky textures. Back to the ice moon. If you go to the Procreate Elements section, there's a water brush, and that's really good for like cracked effects. So I'm just going to select a color within this blue. And we're gonna paint down some of that water texture. And then we'll do the same to the red moon. We'll go back and select our dark color. Let's paint this in. Gives it a little better texture. And then for this moon, we also need to go back in, make sure this clipping mask, we need to go add its chunks. So let's go back to monoline brush. And I'll turn that down and we'll just get the little bits of this moon. And then we want to go back and add textures to it. So we'll go back to the flicks layer, get our dark color, actually create a new layer with the clipping mask for the bits. Yeah, let's put those down. Give those some texture too. And since this is just a simplified map, I think that'll be a good size for those chunks. Okay. Let's go ahead and start doing our shading for these items. So what I'll do is I'm going to merge down these layers all into one. And we're going to take the selection tool, select this dark side, kind of a broad stroke, feather this out, darken it a little, select further back, feather it a little, darken it again, and then we'll do it again. Make sure the edges are the darkest point. And since we did get pretty dark on some of these planets, I think I'm going to do another edge selection. Whoop! Out of my brush. I'm going to select the farthest edge, feather it, and darken it to that point. And then we'll just rinse and repeat. Notice overall, this ice moon's going to be darker because it's always in the shade of Uboon. So let's darken it quite significantly. And then we're going to darken some other edges around the object just to help define its shape. Like such. And then we'll move on to the red moon. This one's a little more complex because there's a little more going on to it. But we'll select this edge here. We'll select the entirety of these chunks, with the exception of the top of the last one. Feather it a bit. Let's unfeather. Select the back side of these chunks and just like a shadow cast area. Whoops. For selection tool. Just some areas where those chunks would be casting shadows. Refeather it. And then darken. Okay, and we're going to go into the edge here, and on the very ends of these two inner chunks, and darken them again. And I think that's good. Let's go in on a boon and start doing our highlight pass. So we're going to select a broad side of a boon here, feather it out, and lighten it just slightly. And then closer to the edge, do it again, where we lighten it even further. And then we'll get our brightest point here at the very end. let's create a new layer. Let's get some cloud effects and atmosphere down here. So let's go back to our water brush. And we're going to get kind of a brownish orange color. And we're going to paint in some places here. Now we're going to warp it to the shape of the planet. This one we want coming out a little bit. Now I'm going to fix the warp on this a little. More like this. Let's duplicate and change one of these to add. We can get a nice light color, kind of get the sandstorm effect. And since we're going to keep it kind of simple, we'll just leave it at that. And now we'll get some cloud effect. I'm going to use Calvin at DrifterStudios splatter brush set and get some random splatter shapes here with the gray color. And I'm just going to tap around, and then I'm going to select a different splatter pattern. We're going to lower the size of that one. Get that in. Now we're going to warp this layer to fit the shape of the planet. We want it sticking out a little bit to kind of give it the effect that it's up in the atmosphere and not touching the ground. I think this shape is good. Now we'll go ahead and just use the monoline brush again. And we're going to paint in Ubu's atmosphere. So we're just going to get a white circle down, or a grayish circle, and turn down the opacity until it's just kind of visible. Okay, so I think that is good. Now, one thing I wanted to do is to be able to do a dotted line path that shows the rotation of some of the main objects around the sun and on their own orbits. So I think what I'll do is I'll go ahead and create my own line brush. So let's go ahead and create a brush together. I'll go back out to my gallery. We'll select a square size that just has a high resolution to it. And I think monoline is fine. We'll just select the pure black. Let's turn up the size. Okay, we'll start out like this. Then we'll make sure we have the monoline brush selected. And let's go ahead and chop this up. And I was kind of off size there. I'm just going to try to get it as close as possible. Each of the segments are kind of symmetrical in size, at least for the most part. And I think this is close enough. Let me just go in and center the line on the canvas. At perfect center. Okay, then we'll go over here to brushes. I'll go to the ones I created. We're gonna click add. And we're going to, we need to go back, I'm sorry, and save this as a PNG just to the device. And we can go into this brush creation, grain, textured. We'll click on edit, import a photo, select our lines. And then we'll say, don't want auto repeat, we'll just click done. And let's go see how that pans out. Looks like it didn't save, so let's try again. Let's also remember to change this. We'll just say line, brush. Okay, I see what's happening. It's more like a stamp. Alright, try the easy way. I'm not good enough at it yet. Now we do it the hard way. We'll just take our model line. And let's map out some trajectories before we commit. So the solar station is just kind of stationary. We're going to leave it there. The planets rotate around this way. Except to this object, he's coming in from afar. And our big gas friend here is pulling it in, little by little. Someday he'll become a permanent fixture of our little home. Okay, so our map is kind of going to look like this as far as the trajectories. So let's lower this. And we'll start with the boon. I think I'm going to lower the size as well. I want to make sure I'm on a new layer. Let's get in the curve. And I think I'm actually going to do full ellipses. like this is best. I'm going to move these lines under the object. Just under all the objects. There we go. And now I'm going to go through and just erase out certain places so we get that dotted line effect. I'm not going to worry too much about the line size here. I'm just going to kind of cut out in places I think it looks nice. And I think I'm going to erase out where it touches the objects. So that those objects can be the focus of their own area. I'm going to go back up here to my line trajectory layer. Let's go ahead and maybe... I think overall that'll look too cluttered if we include the moons actually. So let's just move on to our next orbit line. Let's do our visiting friend here. I'm gonna make sure it's at a curve. We'll want it to kind of be one we can see at first. And then we're gonna come in here and adjust it. And I like this line. So we're going with it. We're going with this line. And then we're just gonna erase. In the areas we think it looks neat. A new layer. Let's go ahead and do the gas giant. So again, we're going to do an ellipses. It's very rare that planets circle their sun in a perfect arc. A lot of the times it's oblong in shape or ovally, so that's why we want to use ellipses for these. And then let's erase back from the object and put in our strategic lines. Since this one kind of intersects into this area, we're also going to move this line back from these objects. And we're just gonna come in here. And mark these down. Just like that. Get a new layer down. And then a new ellipses for our little rock friend in the corner here. Again, we'll go back and erase it away from other objects. So those objects can be the focus of the area. and then erase out our lines. Erase back from these. I think we'll even do all the way up to here. Maybe we'll go in and color code these later, so it's easier for these ones that come close to be distinct from one another. Yeah, we'll do that later. For now, let's just get the line work down. By the way, the music I'm playing is music that I've made over the years, and all the ones prior to this were from like 2015. This is the first one from recent time. Definite improvement. Okay, let's get down our next loop. And let's do the green planet over here next. Yeah, we're definitely going to need to color code these. Okay. And erase back anything that is touching an object. I'm going to zoom in to get a better view of this cleanup area here. Gotta make sure I'm on the eraser. I'm gonna erase away all this middle junk. I think I'm gonna go a little further back here. And then make it dashy. Let's erase it back from our gas friend. Just pull it back on these. I think we're gonna line up just a little bit in some places. Gonna make sure it's not touching our eye spoon here next to a boon. Gotta give it its space. It's space to glow in the dark. Okay, and I think that's a good arc there. New layer. Now we just need to get down the line work for our orange ring planet. And same song and dance. Just erasing back and make sure the objects have their day in the sun. And I'm going to erase out in places where these lines seem to overlap a little, just so that the crosshairs aren't too unpleasing to people's visual receptors. Let's get closer. Okay, got all that nonsense down. Let's do some color coding. So the first one is Uboons. Let's make that one orange. I'm just gonna make my new layer, plop this orange down, and tell it to clip mask just into that dotted line section. Let's do the same. Let's just make our visiting friend maybe just a little more grayish. You know, he can actually stay white. We'll leave him be white. Now for our gas friend, let's pick this blue color. Get that down. And merge. And then this one is our rock friend. So let's select this kind of brown color. Set it to clipping mask. And since it's similar to the color on Uboon's lines, let's go in and adjust the brightness and saturation so that they're distinct enough from one another. And then we'll do the same thing for our green ring friend. Let's color pick a light green. And then for our orange ring friend, let's actually select a yellow. That way we're not copying Uboon's color. So there we go. Now everything has its own distinct color in the orbit. It's a little easier to pick out. And it's colorful. Super colorful. I'm gonna turn down the desktop audio a little. I don't know if the mixing is working properly, and I just want to be sure. Okay, let's go back and get rid of our practice layer. Let's group all of these together. And then we'll rename this to Uboon. Let's go ahead and group all these. And we'll call them orbit paths. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus on the star effects and patterns and the background. So let's get down over here to the luminance brush set. Select the glimmer. I have slightly adjusted this. And the brush settings to have more distance between the star flicks. And I'm gonna go in with our light yellow and paint down some stars. I'm gonna lower the opacity on these slightly, down to 65 about. And then let's go in and adjust the spacing for them to be much closer. Lower our brush size as well. And on a new layer, we're just gonna go add some random swirls. Lower these a little, got to 80%. Then we're going to select our nebula brush. We'll start out with a light blue tone. And we're just going to paint in one of the arms of our barrel galaxy that you can see. So we're just gonna get that in here. We're gonna broaden it at the edges, so it seems like it's getting farther away in the center. Again, as always, I'm sorry for our frame rate drops and such. We are hopefully getting that sorted out here this week. We'll see how it goes. Okay, let's create a new layer, increase the nebula brush size, and just fill this in a little better. We're gonna lower the opacity a bit. I think that just needs to be lowered a little more. I'm actually going to erase with the soft brush around here in the sunlight. Just so we can focus our sun a little better. Doesn't have those weird bright spots. And we're going to select a brown color and reduce our brush size. Kind of get brown tone, put down here in the middle. Get more broad toward the end. I'll erase that around the sun. And create a new layer. And let's get down darkish purple. Pretty small brush size. And we'll just put in some random darkish places. I'm going to merge all of these layers together. I'm going to create a duplicate and hide a layer. And then we're going to take our liquify tool. We're going to take our twirls, turn up our distortion and our size. And we're going to come in here and we're going to screw up the edges. Going to make it nice and wavy. Not straight at all. And we're going to turn down the size and just get some more detailed breakups in patterns. I'm going to also change to a twirl left just to help break up some of that patterning that can form. We're just gonna kind of make these look more like a gaseous cloud. Make sure we get the ends too. Switch back to right, twirl, get in some new patterns. Gonna increase the size here, mess up this outer edge. And I think I'm going to lower the opacity on this just a bit. About to 70%. Let's go in, select our yellowish color here, go back to our glimmers, turn the brush size down, and then really pack in some star clusters here. And lower the opacity on those. We'll say about 65. And lastly, let's just get some random galaxy shapes in the background. Let's go back to our monoline brush. Just get down some random oblong shapes. Get different sizes. And we don't want to layer them too heavily around the objects. So we're just going to put them in the spaces provided. We'll just do one more down here. Then we're going to switch up the color. We're going to go back to this light blue. And we're going to add a couple more. Make sure that's an ellipse. We're just going to add them into a couple places where we feel like we can use them. Okay, and then let's blur all of this. And lower the opacity. And I think that looks good for now. Let's get a preview of that. Okay, so here is our finished product. This is my home assistant Aboon, and I'm glad I was able to share it with everyone. I'm just going to check how we're doing on lag. We are quite a bit behind. We're about on an 8-minute delay. So I think we're going to go ahead and end the stream early today. I'm going to let it play through for you guys to the very end. And then hopefully by this time next week, we'll be able to do a full stream with no lag at all. That's the hope. So let me just go ahead. Let me scoot over here. Okay guys, I want to thank you for stopping by, and again, thank you so much for your patience as we're battling with the internet gods for, you know, supremacy on the interwebs. So, thank you for dropping by again, and we'll see you next time. So until then, have fun, space friends!